everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Momentum Live. Thank you so much for joining us today on this lovely sunny Tuesday afternoon here in Melbourne in Australia. And thanks for joining wherever you are in the world today. My name is Michael Hardinge, and I'm super excited today because we have Ryan Chamley, the creator and director of Rostodon, joining us, which is now streaming on Netflix if you wanted to check it out. It's going to be a really fantastic conversation. If you have any questions for Ryan, let us know in the chat on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're tuning in. We'd love to take your questions. But before we get into chatting to Ryan, we're just going to quickly show you a little bit about the behind the scenes of Rostodon.
There is something about retail and hospitality that it just brings out the wackiest things in people.
We've all had horrible bosses, and we've all probably had to deal with customers if we've worked in retail or hospitality.
Wherever you work, there's always customers that rub you up the wrong way.
The common wisdom is the customer is always right. Well, until Ryan Chamley came along and blew the lid off that idea.
I think this show really shines a light on how we treat people and how we treat each other, especially in a situation where someone is serving us.
I just hope Rostodon helps people, no matter what, where you work, helps the workplace feel better and helps the customers be nicer to them. If that happens, then I'm going to be wrapped. We've done our job.
And joining me to talk about Rostodon is Ryan Chamley. Ryan, welcome to Momentum Live.
Thanks, man. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming and joining us today. First off, how are you? How's the family? How's all the team doing up in Geelong?
Really well. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy as it's been for everyone, but we've managed to get through it. We've made the best of bad situations. Family's good. 4 kids. Homeschooling is pretty hardcore, but
Sure.
They're getting along well. And then, it's kind of homeschooling at the studio as well with Jake in the background somewhere. But no, it's been good, man. We're quite fortunate to not have been too affected by COVID stuff.
For sure. And I guess being out of the metro Melbourne area certainly helps a little bit too. So,
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I mean, to kick off, many people will know you from Rostodon, but for those that might not know a little bit about the other stuff that you've been doing, can you tell us a little bit about your production companies that you have and the other shows that you've made?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, most people know us from Rostodon, the little DIY comedy that could. But I guess for 10 years before that, we were doing just, cutting our teeth on everything we could, from corporate videos to music videos, and just building up a company that could, first and foremost, provide a living for us and our families and the guys that work for us. And then a few years ago, we started trying our hand at narrative. We did Rostodon, and then from there we did a pilot called Jeremy the Dud, which is now in development with Princess Pictures under the name Duds. And we're working on a couple of new things as well. We've done a documentary called The Hunt about the elusive panthers in the Otways, or big cats
For sure.
in the Otways, and a few other bits and pieces as well. So it's been a really fun couple of years. Just after we took that initial plunge, the people we've met and the opportunities we've had have been really, really nice.
Absolutely. And yeah, I love The Hunt so much. I think your team did an amazing job on that. So quite different to Rostodon, but it just goes to show the different types of content you're able to produce at Robot Army. Switching back to Rostodon, quickly take us back to the beginning. Where did the idea for Rostodon come from?
It's birthed out of just real experience. I did a good decade in retail, putting up with people's mistreatment of workers, and I'm a pretty sarcastic guy, so I guess when you put those two together, you get Rostodon.
For sure. Yeah, and I suppose how's the experience has been insane, right? How's the experience been for you?
Oh man, it's been amazing. It's like a dream come true. Like when we, Rostodon was essentially, in its essence, a test of if I was capable of writing and directing something that would look okay, and that if we as a production company could produce something that was at a quality that people would want to watch it. So to go from that to, you know, our goals were realized the first night when we released the pilot. And our goal was pretty much 10,000 views. And then we were happy to say it was a success. And then it was always a stepping stone to test out for the next thing, whatever that may be. And from that to go to, you know, to trending on YouTube every episode, to Netflix, to network television, to Netflix again, it's kind of like a fairy tale. Like, I'm very fortunate and feel very humbled and lucky that it's gotten even a fraction of the success it's had.
Totally. It's been quite the roller coaster as well, the way that it's kind of all, you know, gone from you guys kind of just making a little show in Geelong to, now being something that's available across network TV, Netflix, all those sorts of things. It's amazing. So I guess with that, what was it like to be able to partner with organisations like Screen Australia, Network 7, Netflix, to sort of get this show out to the masses?
Yeah, it was amazing. So I guess when I was starting out, and part of probably why Rostodon even got made, is I had a real chip on my shoulder about the television industry, and being an industry that I knew nothing about, but just assumed that it was really hard to crack and that everybody would look down on us. And I had this real like underdog mentality. And then when I got to the point of working with the likes of Netflix and Seven and Screen Australia, and everybody I've dealt with along the way has just been amazing and supportive, and, you know, it has made our journey just that much better, and really welcomed us, not only welcomed us, but mentored us through, I guess, legitimizing this kind of ragtag production. It's been an amazing journey, and now we've got contacts, and the industry really is quite a welcoming place if you work hard, and if you I guess put the effort in. You know, I've just realised as well, my daughter gave me a makeover a couple of weeks ago, so this nail polish isn't it's not my usual choice. So
look, it works on you either way, Ryan, so don't worry about that.
Thanks.
Also, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the Facebook or YouTube comments. I can see a couple floating in already, so we'll definitely get to those very shortly. One of the things I did want to chat to you about, and one of the things I love about you and the team at Robot Army, is you have really taken the fans along with you on this journey and really pulled the curtain back on the behind the scenes of the whole process. So why was that important to you?
Just to feed our egos. No. It's basically, you know, we've had such a fun time doing this, and from the start I've kind of been like, well, if we can do it, anybody can, is my genuine theory around it. In that, you know, so I guess for one part it's to share the fun with everybody, you know, and if people love the show, I feel like they would love how it would get made, and I think all the cast and crew are just such amazing people, and we have the best time. And I think if you know where we've come from and how we've made it, I think it makes the show kind of that little bit more special for those that enjoy it. But also, like, it's to really show people that, particularly filmmakers and crew, that, you know, we just willed this into being. You don't need to kind of wait for it. It's all kind of there for you to take. You've just got to literally just start doing it. And by that I mean, you know, it's just changing that I'm going to do this to I'm doing this. So, you know, if you're going to do something, one day you're going to write a script and talk to your friend that's an actor, and then also this person, you know, that has a camera. If you are doing it, then you're like, well, crap, I better get on the phone to this person who I think would be great to work with and see if they're interested. I better actually write that script and send it to my actor friend. And it's using all the connections you've already got, but the only difference is you're actually doing it. Like, you know, you're taking the steps you can right now to get there, and then eventually, you know, those steps lead to new steps, and then before you know it, you're on set having the time of your life with, you know, 40, 50 mates.
Yeah, totally. And that was such a fun experience for me too, because I had the pleasure of being able to follow you around with cameras with my colleague Lockie for the whole show, and make a documentary about it, which you can now also see on Netflix, called Retail Therapy. And it's such a good example of like this little production company that just had these massive dreams and just sort of went, you know, we're just going to do this no matter, you know, what backing we have or don't have. And I think the fact that you guys backed yourself really did show that it's useful. So I would encourage everyone to, one, watch the show because it's great. Season 1 and 2 now on Netflix. Secondly, go watch the behind the scenes of it too, because it really shows the incredible story of how this production came to be. So with that, we might take a couple of questions from Facebook and Instagram as well. So got a couple of questions here. Mark wanted to know, what advice do you have for young filmmakers trying to get into the market?
My advice would be take a drink whilst the question's being asked and not after it's been asked. So young filmmakers, there are so many resources for you to be actually making now. So I think a lot of people get snagged on trying to have these like big professional sets, but literally just go and make stuff like straight away. Shoot it on have to, because you've got to just do anything you can to build those skills. So as long as it's a means of filming it and being able to watch it back, then use anything you can. Use phones, use cameras. It doesn't matter if it's the latest technology. Just write a script. It could be 2 pages. You know it sucks. Shoot it anyway, because you need to make so many mistakes before you can actually. You don't even know what you don't know, and I'd say this to myself as well. Like, you need to go and make those mistakes, and it's much better to do that on your phone with mates when you're screwing around and it's fun, than to have the pressure of funding bodies and networks and stuff like that involved. And it just prepares you basically for, when that day comes. But I would just say, it's like I said before, whatever steps you can take now to start doing something, just do that step. It could just be a phone call to a friend that you've always talked about making something with. We'll call that friend and be like, hey, let's do it. Why aren't we doing it right now? Write that script. Just whatever you've got to do, do it.
For sure. And I think that's one of the things that I struggled with earlier in my career as well, kind of just trying to make it more professional than it needed to be. Like, I was like, I can't shoot this unless I have a red camera, because obviously the image needs to look good. Despite the story was absolute rubbish when I wrote it when I was, 18 or 19 years old. But just go make stuff and practice, I think, is the best way to do it. And then eventually when you get there, like people will start to see the work speak for itself in a lot of ways, I suppose, right?
Absolutely, and don't make it too serious. Like, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a creative outlet, and if it is always inevitably going to become business. So try and push that business side of it as far away as you can for now. If you're just starting out, just enjoy the highs and the lows and learn from it.
Totally. Okay, so Matt wants to know, what's the hardest part of the creative process for you, and how do you overcome or work through that?
The hardest part is probably the self-doubt and the putting yourself out there for people to critique and judge, and judging your work. And it's funny, like you're I call it art because I'll just be that guy for a minute. But, whatever it is, whether it's a song or a show or like a poetry or anything, like you're kind of bearing your soul, and then basically you're just giving it to the internet, which is a horrid place to be able to just comment away, and they could watch 5 seconds and just towel 5 to 10 years worth of your creative expression. And then so it's basically just the insecurity of it. I know a lot of creatives are the same, like it's trying to keep your mental in check, to say that just because there's other people out there doing stuff doesn't mean that your thing isn't going to get made, or like, especially in Australia, we have a tendency to compare ourselves to other people. So it's just managing that insecurity, I guess, is one of the hardest things about being a creative, I think, in any field.
Totally. So I guess with that, this kind of leads into the next question from Ash. When you're writing, do you have like a process or a particular group of people that help you continue to develop the script beyond the first draft? Like, who are your sort of go-to collaborators to sort of help you along the way?
Yeah, so I had to develop it over time, because it's, you hold, it's called your babies. Like, you don't want to kill your babies. And if you show it to someone else and they don't like something you've written, you're either going to have to deal with it and cut it or make it better. So it's been a process. Like Ross said on, I didn't bounce off a lot of people. I know I bounce off the guys here at the office, like Stu, my wife, and our producer Maddie. It's Steve and Mark, the guys at Ruby, Nick, who was in it. A lot of the cast I'd bounce off, but it was only recently that I started really wanting people to challenge my script. So at the moment, I've got some really close friends and just colleagues that I can send a script to, and I basically write until I'm at a point where I'm happy with it, and I can accept feedback, and I just say to them, look, if anything sucks, tell me. And I actually, the more and more I write, the more and more I actually value people's input and challenging me to make it better. Because your first scripts, you don't want feedback, you just want to get it out there and shoot it. Whereas now, I've made a bunch of mistakes as a result of that, that are script-based mistakes. So now I'm really focusing on trying to make those scripts as good as they can be, which obviously requires getting feedback from a vast array of people. So I send it out to a lot of people now from different walks of life.
For sure. Interesting. And I think Ash has got another question, which is, I think a really good one to ask you in particular. How do you make a small budget go a long way?
Favors. So this is quite tricky. So, it's basically finding people that are, so if we're talking about crew, it's finding people that are in the same position as you that need the product just as much as they need to be paid. So, if you're starting out, get a DP that's starting out and a producer and an AD and all these people that want to make something that all need the product to show that they can make something, because then that's your kind of currency. The product is the currency. So if you make something awesome, it's going to get you more work. So if you're starting out, don't try and get like the biggest DP in the world, because your levels aren't aligned. You need to surround yourself with people on your level that inspire you, that challenge you, with the one goal in mind of creating this thing. Same as actors, try and get actors that need that win, need something good, and you can all ride it together. That's what we did with Rusted On. We all needed something that was, we were all kind of up and coming and had a bit of experience here and there, but we all needed Rusted On a lot of the actors just needed something for their reel. It didn't even matter if it was good or not. It's just lucky that it sort of blew up. But we were all in the same spot where we were like, okay, we can all put into this. We all just want to create it. And then, the budget goes a lot further because, the currency is more about the product. And if you can just cover the hard costs, and covering the hard costs is a process in itself, and it's asking for stuff for free. So season 1 of Rusted On, we had the location for free, which is an empty shop. We got all the microwaves and TVs and stuff for free. Like Stu and I drove around to people's houses collecting broken TVs. So, the shelving, we got sponsored by a shelving company, OME, just because we said we're doing a show. So it's asking people for favors, but you've got to do the legwork. So, it's not like you can ask, art departments from Hollywood movies, hey, can you do this for free? No, you've got to go and pick up all the stuff. You've got to set it up. You've got to do all the legwork. So you've got to ask the question, free location for credits and stuff like that. So you can stretch a small budget far as long as everybody is under the understanding that you're creating something to further all of your careers. It's not just everyone's not just taking pay cuts just for the director's vision or the writer's vision, or it's got to be a real team effort, and then you'll be surprised how far you can stretch a small budget.
Totally. They have to get as much out of it as you are getting out of it as well, I think. So as long as it's benefiting everyone, that's a fantastic way to kind of make your money go a long way. Scott wants to know, how do you find working independently versus working with others in the industry? Do you find it more enabling, or is it all the same once you get a run on?
No, you definitely need to have the right people around you. So I've been lucky enough to try out a few different work and relationships that worked and didn't work, and now I find myself like surrounding yourself with people that inspire you, that can challenge you, that can pull you up when you're not nailing it, that can tell you that they think you can do better. It's so important. And I would cling on to those people, and I'll be working with them for the rest of my life. But there are also scenarios where you're in a writer's room or you're on a production, and the creative visions just don't align. And it's a nightmare. Like it's really hard. So it's just a matter of try and error. It's about being humble too. Like, as much as you think your way is the best way. I know I always do, and it usually is. But but you've got to just realize that you're dealing with everybody's not egos, but like insecurities. So everyone's putting themselves out there in a creative way, and you've got to accept that and really kind of try and hear everybody. But again, it's about the right mix. But I would try just see who you gel with, and usually it's a gut feeling through emails before you've even stepped on set. But I much prefer now working as part of a group, still driving my own stuff. Like it's still my scripts, but getting people to enhance that and in turn enhancing other people's stuff is kind of what keeps me going, actually, feeling like I'm not just doing it alone independently.
For sure. And I think when you gel or click with someone anyway. Like you said, you just get that gut feeling and it just becomes easy.
Absolutely.
And especially when you're working on something like film and TV production, it can be really stressful and tiring. So you want to be doing it with people that you get along with and you enjoy being around and collaborating with as well. So yeah, I think it's important to definitely surround yourself with the right people. So thank you all for your questions. If we get time for any more, we'll definitely come back to them. But I just wanted to chat, Ryan, what are some other things that you and the team are working on at the moment? Because it sounds like Robot Army's got a lot of different productions in the works.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, man. We've got some screen development funding money for a show called My Friend Anxiety, which is about a guy who can see his own mental health in the way of like an imaginary friend. So he can see his anxiety, he can speak to it, he can interact with it, but no one else can see it. So it's mental health and is something that's quite close to my heart, and I think it's a really important story to tell. So seeing how somebody's mental health interacts with them, as opposed to the internal struggle when you see this person talking about things that mental health would say to you, it becomes ridiculous. But we want people to relate to it and think, you know what, it's exactly what my anxiety says to me, and ideally open up a bit of a discussion around mental health and try and destigmatize. But also, I guess my goal for it is if people are out there watching with mental health issues, that they first of all laugh but then feel like they're not alone and that we all go through this. So it's I guess big picture stuff. I'd love to just bring all these people together and say, hey, look, we all go through this stuff. Let's enjoy this together and I don't know, maybe inspire someone to open up to a friend about it or to reach out to places like Beyond Blue or something like that. But it's a really exciting premise. We've got a great cast. We've got a great crew involved, and we're shooting the pilot in January. So that's taking up a bit of time at the moment. We're also developing an animation, which is really fun, called Breakdown, about a metal band that can that basically fights aliens, which is a lot of fun. And animation is something I've wanted to get into for a long time, since I was 5, watching He-Man on Saturday morning. So I'm enjoying every second of that too. Which is something I guess was maybe a little bit born out of ISO, that I've got these great creatives and we kind of like can't go out and shoot. So like, well, what can we do while we're not shooting? And, definitely making a cartoon about a metal band is something we can be doing.
Totally. I mean, that perfectly leads into my next question as well, because it's obviously very challenging times for our industry, especially here in Melbourne. Obviously other states are doing it a little bit better than we are at the moment, but how have you and the team at Robot Army been able to adapt to be able to continue making your shows and your content?
So we were pretty fortunate. We've got a whole another arm of our business called Milk Video, which is basically corporate and branding and advertising. We do that so we're not solely reliant on the industry to pay our wages and our livelihood, because that's quite a fickle industry, but also that we're not totally reliant on other sources for funding our stuff too, so that while this milk is sort of paying our bills and bringing in money constantly, we can be funneling some of that to make these productions that we do, which was also what we sort of did with Rusted on season 1. So that basically it's just moved to a lot of animation stuff, a lot of motion graphics videos. There's been bits and pieces we could do of filming. Just when we got the development from My Friend Anxiety was when the first wave of COVID hit. So that was pretty fortunate timing. Perfect timing. A lot of my time is spent writing and stuff anyway. So I tend to lock in when I write. Anyway, so with that, it was I think part of the development is 3 scripts and all the pre-pro. So we kind of moved in this phase of pre-production. We had a lot of animation work on through Milk, and we started developing this other animation. So for us personally, it hasn't been too restrictive, but I definitely see friends and other people in the industry doing it really tough, particularly the freelancers out there. And it's I think everybody's just ready to, I think, just get back on set and just see those people you haven't seen for a while and give them a big hug. And I don't know how long it's going to be till we can do that, but yeah, it's a pretty tough situation.
For sure. Well, hopefully it's very, very soon. And I guess with that, how do you think the industry is going to be able to adapt? Do you think there's going to be a big shift in the way we do make content, both in a COVID-safe way, but also post-COVID as well? Do you think there's going to be more animation? Where do you kind of see it heading?
I'm not too sure. I mean, the world in general has kind of this tendency to, once we're through a crisis, we just forget about it.
Yeah.
Definitely at the moment, all the protocols that are coming down as industry standards around COVID, you can't ignore, and the consequences for doing so are quite steep. So
For sure.
even going forward, productions will be significantly different. I think till there's a vaccine, in terms of spacing, in terms of departments not intermingling with each other. So trying to keep, makeup and wardrobe and art department and unit all kind of separate, because then if there is a breakout, it's contained to just that one department. And on a big set, it's so hard because you've got everybody sort of intermingling. So it's requiring a lot more planning. But I think in terms of an industry, I think we will bounce back. I just don't know when. That's the hard part.
Yeah, pretty resilient bunch of people that are in this industry. So, yeah, it's just a matter of a matter of when, regards to instead of if. But yeah, if people are interested in some of the ways that the industry has had to adapt, check out our website, momentumstudios.com.au. We've got a blog post up there about what a COVID-safe set looks like. The good news is, maybe not so much right now in Melbourne, but you can still film stuff safely. So, hopefully there won't be too long before we can all get back on set and start making content for everyone. But I'm curious, especially in times like this, Ryan, how do you think creatives can support each other, or even the broader community can help creatives through these times?
It can be as simple as just it doesn't even have to be business-wise. Just give someone a call, just talk some shit with them, jump on a Zoom call and just banter and have a drink. I think that. Just that connection in general is something you don't really realize you miss until you are talking to someone face to face. I think trying to encourage everybody, and I don't know what it looks like in terms of, is it, I think a lot of creatives are out there going, well, this is perfect because I'll just write more. And, you can't write if you're miserable. You can't be creative if you're not in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Unless we're all just going to, all write Requiem for a Dream and come up with a bunch of depressive films like that. So I think it's just communication, whatever that looks like. And, definitely if you are a writer or something like that, definitely get on that script you've been waiting for and try and work up the momentum. See what I did there?
Very good.
To work, to commit that time you've got at home to making it, to progressing it, but at the same time, don't beat yourself up if you can't, because if you're completely within your rights to be quite bummed out at this situation and depressed and feeling horrible about it, but it's just trying to, I guess, be there for each other is the short thing of what I'm saying. But yeah.
Totally. Look, I think that is a really nice place to finish this, Ryan. So if people want to learn more about you in Robot Army, where's the best place they can head to?
So they can check out robotarmy.com.au. I've got a director's Instagram, just Ryan Chamley Director, and also Facebook as well. All the Robot Army guys have got social media tags. I'm quite active on Instagram and stuff like that, putting up bangers. Sure. I just put up crap because I don't shoot anything. But yeah, you can follow us on Facebook, all the kind of socials. Rostodon's got a TikTok now, so we're pretty
I'll definitely get on the Rusted on top.
And new.
For sure.
But yeah.
Nice. And also, obviously, you can catch seasons 1 and 2 of Rusted On and the behind-the-scenes featurette now on Netflix in Australia and New Zealand, or everywhere else. People can head to slapbang.tv, I believe is the link.
Yes, it's down internationally at the moment, just for a few technical YouTube things, because we can't block Australia at the moment. But yeah, it'll be back up there soon. But Slapbang's got a heap of other cool content on it anyway, so check it out.
Oh, yeah, there's so many fantastic series on Slapbang, so definitely go check that out. There's some really funny, I love the nice short series. There's so many good pieces of content, both from your team, but also from other local creatives around Australia too, so definitely go check that out. But yeah, Ryan, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, man. It was a pleasure.
Cheers. Thanks, Ryan. And thank you all so much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed the show and got a little bit out of it as well. And we're going to be continuing next week. We're going to be hearing from all of the Momentum Studios, friends and collaborators that we normally work with, about how you can all stay creative in isolation, which kind of, expands a little bit more on some of the topics that Ryan just mentioned then. So that should be a really good thing to hear about. If you have any other ideas about things you want to see on the show, let us know in the comments below. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of these live shows, don't forget to like the page. But until next week, my name's Michael Hardinge, and we'll see you next time on Momentum Live.